Hello Chelsea fans, welcome back to the Chelsea Show. Chelsea have taken an extremely unusual yet innovative step in helping Cole Palmer recover from the freak injury that has kept him out of action. The club have provided the 22-year-old with a specially adapted left boot, custom designed to reduce impact, protect the damaged area around his little toe, and allow him to gradually begin testing his movement on the training pitches at Cobham. The injury itself, though small in physical appearance, has caused a surprisingly disproportionate amount of discomfort. The little toe is often overlooked in discussions of football injuries, but for an elite playmaker like Palmer, whose entire style relies on balance, tight control, precise footwork, and small space agility, even the smallest fracture or bruising can cause major disruption. Chelsea's medical department quickly determined that traditional rehabilitation shoes or standard football boots would not be sufficient in Palmer's case. Because the location of the injury meant that every push-off, every change of direction, and even the slightest twist of the foot could irritate the affected area, the club opted to design equipment specifically tailored to his recovery needs. The process behind the adapted boot. Chelsea's sports science team worked closely with boot engineers and medical specialists to create an altered version of Palmer's usual left boot. It includes additional internal cushioning surrounding the toe box, a slightly reshaped structure to minimize compression at the front of the foot, and an impact-dampening sole plate that absorbs shock when the foot hits the ground. The design is not intended to change how Palmer plays, but to replicate the closest possible feel to his normal boot while reducing pain to nearly zero. One staff member described the approach as a protective bridge, allowing Palmer to move through the final stages of recovery without being held back by residual soreness. Palmer has already begun light testing indoors, walking and shifting weight on the affected foot while wearing the modified boot. Early feedback has been encouraging. According to those present, the boot allows Palmer to place more pressure on the toe with significantly less discomfort than before. That improvement is crucial. Without adequate pain reduction, running and ball work would be impossible. Return to the grass. The key milestone. Chelsea hope that with this boot, Palmer will be able to return to the training ground grass at Cobham next week. That does not necessarily mean he will immediately resume full training or intense drills, but it marks an essential step in the overall plan. Returning to grass means returning to football-specific movement patterns, and it represents the moment when medical rehabilitation transitions into sport preparation. The club will monitor how Palmer responds to jogging, turning, ball control exercises, and short sprints while wearing the modified boot. Only if he completes these tasks without pain will he be allowed to progress to more advanced elements such as acceleration drills and directional movement. The club's priority is to avoid rushing him. Freak injuries such as toe damage are unpredictable, and what feels fine one day can flare up the next. The importance of Palmer to Chelsea's current project. The care put into the adaptation of Palmer's boot reflects how important he has become to Chelsea's entire sporting project. His creativity, maturity, and decision-making have been central to the team's attacking structure. The coaching staff, medical department, and sporting directors all consider him a long-term cornerstone of the club. Therefore, even though the injury might appear minor compared to muscle tears or ligament issues, the club are taking no risks whatsoever. Palmer is too essential, too irreplaceable, and too influential to be mishandled in recovery. The mental side of his rehabilitation. Although the injury does not prevent Palmer from maintaining his overall fitness, he continues upper body strength training, stationary cycling, tactical video sessions, and monitored gym workouts. The mental challenge of being temporarily sidelined has been significant. As a young player who thrives on rhythm, creativity, and repetition, he prefers being on the pitch rather than watching from the treatment room. The introduction of the adapted boot has changed his mentality in a positive way. For the first time since the injury, Palmer feels a tangible step forward, something he can use, something that connects him back to the grass, something that reminds him he is close to returning. Players often describe this stage, the moment when they physically step on the training pitch again, as the psychological turning point in any injury recovery. And for a player as emotionally invested as Palmer, that moment is crucial. The science behind toe. Injuries and footwear modification. The little toe may seem insignificant, but it plays an important role in maintaining balance and providing stability during lateral movement. In football, where quick changes of direction are constant, the little toe helps support rotational force as the foot turns. An injury in this area can also affect gait, leading to compensatory movement patterns that put strain on other parts of the foot, ankle, and knee. Chelsea's medical staff understood this risk. Their decision to focus on modifying Palmer's boot rather than insisting on extended rest reflects modern sports science. The goal is to preserve natural movement mechanics while reducing stress on the injured area. This approach allows Palmer to maintain football-specific foot motion without aggravating the toe. The cushioning reduces impact, the shape minimizes internal pressure, and the sole absorbs the kind of force that normally travels straight into the toe joint. The club's hopeful timeline. Although Chelsea have not publicly given a precise date for Palmer's full return, there is internal optimism surrounding the next week. If he completes grass tests successfully, the next steps will involve 1. Controlled jogging 2. Non-contact ball control 3. Short passing drills 4. Light directional movement 5. Increasing intensity in stages. After that, if there are no setbacks, Palmer will be reintegrated into team-based tactical sessions. The adapted boot is not intended to be a permanent solution. Ideally, once the toe heals fully, Palmer will transition back to his normal boots. But the club have not ruled out the possibility that he might temporarily play official matches wearing the modified boot, depending on how he feels during testing. Palmer's own reaction to the boot sources around Cobham indicate that Palmer has embraced the adapted boot with enthusiasm. He reportedly joked with staff that the boot looked like a superhero version of his usual footwear. But behind the light-hearted mood is genuine determination. Palmer is known for his competitive nature and his love of playing. Anything that brings him closer to returning fires up his motivation. He has been particularly encouraged by the comfort level inside the boot. Because the cushioning prevents friction around the toe, Palmer can walk more naturally, shift weight without flinching, and test his footwork with more confidence. The club's support system. Throughout his recovery, Palmer has been surrounded by continuous support from Chelsea's medical and coaching teams. Regular check-ins, custom rehabilitation programs, and close monitoring have made him feel valued and protected. The club understand his importance and have emphasized quality care over speed. This careful approach reinforces Chelsea's broader plan. They are building their future around players like Palmer, not pushing them into risky early returns. Why this innovation matters for his future. The specially adapted boot represents more than just equipment. It represents trust, investment, and planning. For a young player entering his prime, injury management plays a major role in ensuring longevity. Chelsea want Palmer available not just for one match or one period, but for years to come. This experience may even lead Palmer to experiment with personalized footwear options in the future. Many elite footballers, especially those who rely on creative play, eventually adopt custom equipment after injuries, ensuring maximum comfort and protection.